you got to develop the mindset of either letting people choose you or lose you. I think a lot of us get caught up in constantly trying to prove who we are to people, or we try and force people to be who we want them to be, or we try and force ourselves to be the person for other people. And what I've had to learn just throughout living, through friendships and any type of relationship, honestly, with anyone, show up as yourself. I think you have to get in the habit of becoming okay with people, one, missing out on you, becoming okay with you not being for other people, and then again being okay with other people just not choosing for you to be in their life. One thing I've become very big on is just showing up as my authentic self and presenting that right away. A lot of you guys are in this mindset where, or you have this habit of always showing up as who you think you have to be, or whenever you meet new people, whenever you get in a certain space, a certain environment, you put on this facade. You're constantly in your head thinking of, can I bring out this version of myself? Do I have to suppress this version of myself, or can I be fully my authentic self? Obviously, whatever is appropriate in that moment. I'm not saying go to a business meeting and act like bring out your child side. That's not what I'm saying. But obviously where it's appropriate, whether that's what you think, your opinion, things like that, always bring that out. And I feel like I've been very big on that for myself lately, because I don't want to get to a point where I build connections with people and then all of a sudden they finally see the real me after knowing me for like 3 months or something like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to play character from the start and then show my real self and hope that then they'll accept me. I want to show up as me right off the jump, and then you in that moment can choose whether that's something you want to deal with or not. But a lot of us, including myself, I used to be a person where it was like I would try and force people to like me. I would try and force people to see the value in me. I would try and force myself to accept certain people. I would try and force myself to be the person for certain people, when it's like, why do you even want to be in relationships with certain people? Why do you want to have certain people around you who don't accept you for that real version of you? Or, you feel you have to put on a facade, or you have to put on a character every time you're around that person, because I know what it's like in those moments. It's like, you can feel when you're not being your real self. You could feel when you're being somebody you're not. You could feel when you're forcing yourself to be somebody that's outside of who you actually are. And it's like, why do you want to surround yourself around people where, it's almost uncomfortable to even be around them? It might be comfortable because, they might be a friend or they might be accepting you, but it's like internally it's uncomfortable because you're almost constantly telling yourself who your real self is, that's not good enough in this moment. Who your real self is, that's not going to get accepted by this person. That's not worthy of coming out. That's not a person that people will actually like, or people that people will love, or that's not a person that even you love. And so, I'm really big on just showing up as me, showing up as myself with my humor, showing up as myself with, expressing my values, showing up as myself with bringing out my mindset, how I think, and just like the type of person I am. And in that moment, you can make the decision to either choose me or say, hey, this person not for me. And I think a lot of people internalize that when you really shouldn't internalize that. Just because you aren't people's choice doesn't mean that you aren't good enough, or doesn't mean that you hold no value as a person. It doesn't mean you have to change as a person, or that something's wrong with you. You just not for everybody. I think I've said this in videos before, where it's like, everybody got different values. Everybody got a different personality, a different mindset, meaning that, hey, we each belong in different people's lives. We not all meant to be the same. We not all meant to have the same personality. We not all meant to have the same interests, because then we will all just be operating the same and nothing new would be coming about. Be yourself and allow yourself to find the people who actually like you for being you, essentially. And when I also say let people choose you or lose you, I mean every version of yourself. None of us are perfect. A lot of us like to treat ourselves or hold ourselves to the standard of perfection, but we all have our own different flaws. We all make our own different mistakes. We all have our room to grow in life. We all have the areas in which we're weak. We all have the areas in which we're strong. We all have the areas in which we're still trying to figure out and discover about ourselves that we just haven't figured out yet. Because it's so early on. A lot of us 20, 25, whatever age you might be, a lot of us are still figuring it out. And so you have to surround yourself around people who understand that and have that mindset for themselves. Personally, for myself, I want to surround myself around people who forgive themselves, who understand the process of growth, who understand the process of making mistakes, who understand the process of, being imperfect, essentially. Because when you surround yourself around people who hold themselves to the standard of perfection, who judge themselves to the standard of perfection, then that's how they're going to treat you. And it's not like it's their fault or something like that, but that's something they just have to develop within their own mindset. But I want to surround myself around people who understand the importance of making mistakes. I want to surround myself around people who understand the process of growth and how change is a slow process and something that you have to continuously do trial and error with, and that you don't figure out just right away. I want people to make space for my imperfections. I want people to make space for the times where I really do fuck up in the moment. And, they give me the space to actually change and grow as a person, because again, we all figuring it out. And, you got to make decisions and you got to make mistakes in order to even discover the results of making those decisions and determine, hey, do I need to change? Hey, was that a good decision? Is that, does that benefit the people around me? Does that hurt the people around me? There's certain things you just don't know until you make the choice in that moment. And so you should always strive to surround yourself around people who accept all the versions of yourself, the version of yourself who might react emotionally, the version of yourself who, makes mistakes and messes up and things like that, the version of yourself who may get caught up in his ego, the version of himself who might lose track of himself in his emotional states or whatever, her emotional states, whatever. You want to surround yourself around people who truly understand you, who can bring you back to you. And, you never want to feel this pressure to always feel you have to perform, always feel you have to be perfect, always feel you have to make the right choice, because then you put this pressure on yourself to almost always make the right decision. And then that causes your anxiety, that causes your stress, that causes you feeling like, you aren't good enough when, you mess up, and you're constantly contemplating, oh, do they not like me anymore? Do they not mess with me? Do they no longer accept me? Is this a safe space to be human? Is this a safe space to be imperfect? You never want to be in a space where it's like you have to question those things. And so that's why it's so important that you just show up as you are. And, everybody's not going to choose you. You're not going to be everybody's first choice. And I think that's one thing I really used to struggle with. Throughout my whole life, I never felt like I was anyone's number one option, if that makes sense. Whether it was with my family, whether it was with friends or whatever, I never felt like I was anyone's number one, essentially. And so in having that mindset and in wanting that, I would constantly try and prove my worth. I would constantly try and hold on to certain people. I would constantly try and play victim at times in order to receive attention. And, that's something I had to overcome within myself and heal within myself, because it was like, that's just not a good mindset to be in. And I was seeing how it was affecting me as a person. I was seeing how it was affecting me mentally. I was seeing how it was influencing my actions and things like that. And so, I had to get to a space where it was like, choose the people who choose you. Let people, either choose you as a person, this authentic version of yourself, or, let them miss out on you. But regardless of their choice, don't internalize it. Don't let it be the representation of who you are. Don't let it determine how you view yourself and your self-image and your confidence and whether you believe you need to change who you are and things like that. Because unfortunately, and you're going to learn this very quick in life, like not everybody's going to see you as worth it, essentially. Not everybody's going to choose you in those moments where you show your imperfections. Not everybody's going to choose you in the moments where you make mistakes. Not everybody's going to choose you in the moments where it takes effort to fix a situation because you messed up, or they messed up but they refuse to take responsibility. Meaning that you have to become okay with people losing you. You have to become okay with losing people. You have to become okay with people missing out on you. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like that stuff don't hurt sometimes. Not being certain people's choices, especially when they were your choice, people not seeing you as worth putting effort into when you're willing to put effort into a situation, that shit hurts sometimes. And so it's hard to sometimes not internalize it. It's hard to really gather yourself and not want to change who you are, not feel the need to go out and try and like beg people to stay around and things like that. Like you sometimes do gotta battle with those thoughts, and you gotta in that moment make the right decision. You gotta get back to your instincts and your logical way of thinking and think, okay, this person doesn't accept me for me, and now I have to find a way to move on. It's my responsibility, to take my feelings and find a way to move forward in life. But moving forward from that situation, I think it's really important that you emphasize that you're not changing yourself to become the person for other people. I think when a lot of people face rejection in this world, which you will face rejection a lot in this world from all different aspects, whether it's a job, whether it's family, friends, relationships, things, whatever. Like you're gonna constantly face rejection in this world. I think one of the biggest, most important parts of facing rejection is not allowing it to change you, not changing your values, not changing, who you are as a person. Not saying that you can't reflect on a situation and see, hey, where can I possibly improve? But like, don't get to a point where it's like you're changing yourself completely to become who you think other people want you to be, essentially. Like, I think you have to become okay with people missing out on you and losing people, and waiting until you find the people who are actually right for you. I think a lot of people get caught up, or I think a lot of you guys get caught up in being alone, not having as many people around you as you want to have around you. And you get to the point where it's like you just force people to be in your life, whether it makes you happy, whether they're actually a good person for you or not, whether they're actually a good influence, whether they fit the standards or the type of people you want around you. You start breaking down boundaries, essentially, to just like get people who will just accept you, get anyone who will accept you, whether you want to actually accept them or not. But that's why I think it's so important to know yourself as a person, know what you deserve, know your value, know your worth, because if not, then it'll be very easy for you to go out here and go after anyone, essentially. Allow anyone into your life with no type of repercussions or nothing. And it will allow you to like go out here and try and be the person for other people. Try and constantly people please. Try and constantly be who you think other people want you to be in order for them to accept you, in order for them to like you, in order to get them to perceive you in the specific way, shape, or form. I think when you have a better understanding of yourself and like who you are as a person, then you don't allow yourself to get out of that, or you can constantly bring yourself back to you. Because again, sometimes you're going to get tempted to start people pleasing. Sometimes you're going to be tempted to always try and look out for other people's feelings, or try and persuade other people's feelings and things like that. And, it's when you have a good understanding of yourself, when you're able to bring yourself back to yourself and make decisions that actually align with who you really are. But I appreciate you guys for tuning into the video. I hope you learned a thing or two. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Join up on the Discord. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Boss fight is holding on to your sexual energy. Some of the hardest you can ever do in your life. Once you do that, you have escaped the matrix officially. If you can control your sexual energy, you have escaped the matrix. Because now, bro, you control everything about you. A woman can't, bro, you would catch a flight just for that. Listen, I'm a victim. You would go all around the world to get some, I'm a victim. Once you stop giving that attention to put all that energy to yourself, bro, you don't even need to meditate damn near. Bro, sexual energy is some of the most potent energy I have ever experienced. And I'm gonna say that right now. I went 200 plus days and it haven't been the same since. I ain't nowhere near that shit.
If she is not your girl, you should not be worried about nothing she is doing. She is not that important, especially for a guy that is focused on his purpose. Worrying about her hasn't put $1 in your pocket. It hasn't put food on your table. It hasn't brought respect to your last name, and it hasn't put a roof over your head. So if she is no longer your girl, you should not be texting her. You should not be calling her. You should not be checking up on her. And you should not be worried about if she's with another guy. Because when you're focused on your purpose and you know exactly who you are and you remember who you are, you're not worried about being replaced. Because for you, you're as great as it gets. Because you're the only person with your purpose. You're the only person with your life. You're the only person with everything that embodies you. So for you, you're as great as it gets. You're not worried about being replaced. You're not worried about her doing better because it has nothing to do with you. She does not define your greatness. She does not define your respect. She does not define your confidence unless you allow her to do that. And no woman is important enough to give them that power. Take your power back, take your mind back, and lock in.
If they don't even text you back, they don't really fuck with you for real. Like, bro, now that I know how people, how society operate, bro, 99% of women and men have their phone in their hand at all times. At all times, unless they at work.
Just because a woman did you wrong does not mean you can slow down on your grind. Respect your last name. If she thinks she's bigger than the life that you've built or the life that you're building, then leave. Respect your last name. If she real comfortable talking to you crazy, then stop talking to her. Respect your last name. If she actually thinks she can take you as a joke, then leave. Respect your last name. If she keeps taking your kindness for weakness, then show her just how strong you are by leaving. Respect your last name. If she keep threatening to leave you, don't keep begging for her to stay. Respect your last name. If she don't take you serious enough to respect your boundaries, then leave. Respect your last name. If she actually thinks she can find better, don't be sad about it. Let her try. And you go get every single thing you want out of this life. Respect your last name.
Young, bro.
Bro, you got a house, you got a car, you got 100 bands in your savings account. No, nigga, you don't got room, you don't got time to be sitting there not being motivated, nigga. You got shit to do, nigga. You got work to do, nigga. So get on your shit, you lame ass. Nigga, don't get on your shit, nigga. Get a bag, nigga. Stop being lazy, nigga.
Get up and make a version of you that you don't think she deserves. There should be no reason why, if you did everything that you could and she still left you, that you get to thinking, what could I have done better? Why does she not want me? What can I do to get her back? There should be no reason for that. You should be working so hard in your life to get everything that you want in this life that you should feel like she doesn't even deserve you. You should be working so hard in this life that you don't even give the time of day to certain women that are trying to be around you. That's how it should be. You should be working so hard that you don't have to sit here and beg for everybody. You should be choosing from people that want to be in your life. But the reason that you feel like you have to beg, and the reason why you're constantly wondering why people left you, is because you don't feel good enough, and you're looking for them to make you feel good enough because you don't want to put in the work to be able to look in the mirror yourself and say, I am good enough. I am doing enough. And the thing is, you already are good enough. You already are. But you got to do something to make yourself believe it. And whatever it is that you need to do, because we all know what it is we need to do, go do that. The reason why y'all boys struggle with women is because y'all don't understand that the man that you want to be is the same man that every woman wants. Listen to me. The man that you want to be is the same man that every woman wants. So stop chasing after women. It's a waste of time and it's a distraction. It's distracting you from getting to where you want to go. And where you want to go in life is the same place that every woman wants to meet you at. It's like you hustling backwards chasing after them, because if you spent the same time chasing after your dreams and goals, they gonna meet you there. I'm telling you. So stop investing all your time and money into women, something that's not guaranteed, and invest it into yourself, something that you can actually make happen. Secondly, it don't matter if she texts you back. It don't matter if she call you back. It don't matter if she want to hang out with you. It don't matter if she choose another guy over you, because all she did was show you her hand. And now what you don't got to do anymore is waste what's most valuable to you, your time. You got to start understanding mutual interest. That's the only way you should give your time to a woman during this time.
I told her, yeah, I'm doing YouTube now, and she's like, I was like, I ain't making no money from it. I ain't have a job either. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, yeah, I ain't making no money from it, but I'm gonna start getting paid real soon. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? She laughed at me, bro.
Stop.
She was like, what the lame ass doing YouTube?
You're lying.
On my mama, bro. On my cousin D, bro. God can strike me dead right now. She laughed. She was like, they lame ass doing YouTube. Niggas playing 2K thing they finna. I swear to God.
Yo, she's a fucking hater.
Yeah.
A professional.
Yup. And then once on my mama again, she called me this year and was like, can you help me with my YouTube?
Fuck her.
Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. You know what I'm saying?